It only took 89 seconds. 89 seconds for a Texas Congresswoman to obliterate two of the most powerful figures in Trump's inner circle. Pam Bondi thought her Fox News appearance would be a victory lap, a chance to publicly threaten Jasmine Crockett, while FBI Director Kash Patel nodded approvingly from the shadows. But what happened next would become the most spectacular political destruction in modern television history. Crockett wasn't even supposed to respond that night. Her staff had advised against it, warning that engaging with Bondi's Fox News theatrics would only legitimize the attack. But when Crockett saw the footage of Bondi's smirking face delivering what amounted to a veiled threat against a sitting member of Congress, something inside her snapped. And what she revealed in those 89 seconds didn't just destroy Bondi's credibility. It exposed a conspiracy that reached all the way to FBI headquarters. The setup had been perfect. Or so Bondi thought. March 22, 2025, 8:47 p.m. Eastern. Fox News prime time. Millions of viewers. The perfect stage to humiliate a freshman Democrat who had been asking too many uncomfortable questions about the Trump administration's Justice Department nominees. Bondi sat in that familiar Fox studio chair, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her expression radiating the confidence of someone who believed she held all the cards. Jasmine Crockett needs to be very careful, Bondi had said, her voice carrying that particular brand of menace that Fox guests perfected when discussing their political enemies. She's making accusations she can't prove against people who have the power to investigate her right back. Sometimes freshman members of Congress forget that oversight is a two-way street. The threat was barely veiled, delivered with the kind of smile that never reached the eyes. Behind the scenes, Kash Patel was watching from his FBI office, believing that his carefully orchestrated campaign to silence Crockett was finally paying dividends. What neither Bondi nor Patel knew was that Crockett had been expecting this moment for weeks, preparing for the exact kind of coordinated attack that was now unfolding on national television. But Crockett's response wouldn't come on Fox News. It would come from the floor of the House of Representatives, where congressional immunity would protect her from retaliation, and where every word would be preserved in the congressional record for history to judge. At 10:23 p.m. that same evening, just 96 minutes after Bondi's threat aired, Crockett requested urgency time to address the House on a matter of urgent national security. The chamber was nearly empty. Most members had gone home for the evening, but C-SPAN was rolling, and in an age of social media, that was all that mattered. Crockett stood at the podium with a manila folder in her hands, her expression calm, but her eyes burning with the intensity of someone who had been pushed too far. "Mr. Speaker," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics, "I rise tonight to address a direct threat made against a sitting member of Congress on national television. But what I'm about to reveal goes far beyond threats. It goes to the heart of whether we still have a functioning democracy or whether certain individuals believe they can weaponize federal law enforcement to silence their critics." The few members still in the chamber looked up from their phones, recognizing the tone of someone about to detonate a political nuclear weapon. In FBI headquarters, Patel was frantically calling his staff, demanding to know what Crockett might have uncovered. At her home in Florida, Bondi was probably assuming the young Congresswoman was just going to deliver another partisan speech about Justice Department ethics. They were both wrong. 3 weeks ago, Crockett continued, "I received a visit from 2 FBI agents. They claimed to be conducting a routine security briefing for new members of Congress. But what they actually did was ask detailed questions about my personal finances, my family members, and my relationships with various advocacy groups. I found this odd, but I cooperated fully because I believe in supporting law enforcement." She paused, letting the implications sink in. The few members in the chamber were now paying full attention. On C-SPAN, viewership was spiking as word spread on social media that something significant was happening. What I discovered next should terrify every American who believes in constitutional government, Crockett said, opening her folder. These were not routine security briefings. This was a targeted harassment campaign ordered by FBI Director Kash Patel at the request of Trump Justice Department nominees who were angry about my questions during their confirmation hearings. The words hung in the air like electricity before a lightning strike. She wasn't just accusing the FBI director of misconduct. She was accusing him of using federal law enforcement to intimidate Congress itself. How do I know this? Crockett asked, her voice rising slightly. Because one of those FBI agents, a 23-year veteran of the Bureau who still believes in the Constitution, came to my office yesterday and provided me with the written orders authorizing this investigation. Orders signed personally by Director Patel. She held up a document, its FBI letterhead clearly visible to the cameras. Operation Congressional Oversight. That's what they called it. A systematic campaign to gather compromising information on members of Congress who were asking uncomfortable questions about Trump administration nominees. And guess who requested this operation? The same Pam Bondi who just threatened me on Fox News. The revelation was devastating. Not only was the FBI conducting unauthorized investigations of Congress members, but they were doing so at the request of political nominees who hadn't even been confirmed yet. It was a constitutional crisis that made Watergate look like a parking ticket. But Crockett wasn't finished. She had saved the most damning evidence for last. The FBI, she continued, spent 3 weeks investigating my finances, my family, my staff. They found nothing because there's nothing to find. But in the process of conducting this witch hunt, they accidentally uncovered something else. Something that Director Patel and his political allies desperately wanted to keep secret. She reached into her folder again, this time pulling out what appeared to be financial records. These are bank statements subpoenaed as part of the FBI's investigation into my activities. But they're not my bank statements. They're Pam Bondi's. The silence in the chamber was deafening on social media, as a Crockett bombshell was already trending. It turns out, Crockett said, her voice now carrying the full weight of prosecutorial authority, that while Ms. Bondi was publicly supporting various Trump nominees, she was privately receiving payments from foreign interests who had business before those same nominees. Payments that were never disclosed. Payments that constitute illegal foreign lobbying. The implications were staggering. Bondi hadn't just been supporting Trump nominees out of political loyalty. She had been paid to do so by foreign governments. And somehow the FBI's investigation into Crockett had accidentally uncovered this corruption. But here's the truly shocking part. Crockett continued her momentum building. When the FBI agents discovered this evidence of foreign payments to Bondi, they were ordered by Director Patel to bury it, to pretend they never saw it, to focus exclusively on trying to find dirt on me instead of pursuing obvious evidence of foreign corruption. The constitutional implications were beyond catastrophic. The FBI director was not only conducting political investigations of Congress members, he was actively covering up evidence of foreign corruption involving his political allies. So when Pam Bondi went on Fox News tonight and threatened me, Crockett said, her voice now rising to fill the chamber, she wasn't just threatening a member of Congress. She was trying to silence someone who hadn't covered her illegal foreign payments and FBI Director Patel's efforts to cover them up. She paused for effect, letting the full weight of her accusation settle over the chamber. I have here, she said, holding up another document, a copy of the wire transfer records showing $847,000 in payments from a Ukrainian energy company to Bondi's consulting firm received between January and March of this year. The same Ukrainian company that has business before the Justice Department. the same payments that Director Patel ordered his agents to ignore. The number was specific, documented, and devastating. In an era where politicians often dealt in vague allegations, Crockett was providing exact figures, specific dates, and documentary evidence. But she still wasn't done. The final revelation would destroy both Patel and Bondi's careers in one devastating blow. And finally, Crockett said, her voice now carrying the finality of a judge delivering a verdict, "I have this." She held up what appeared to be a phone transcript, a recorded conversation between Director Patel and Pam Bondi, discussing how they could use FBI resources to intimidate members of Congress who were asking questions about foreign payments to Trump nominees. The recording was the smoking gun that would end both careers. Not only had they committed the crimes Crockett was describing, they had discussed their criminal conspiracy on a phone line that was apparently being monitored. The conversation took place on March 15th at 3:23 p.m. Crockett continued 7 days before Ms. Bondi's threat on Fox News. In this conversation, Director Patel explicitly promises to shut down congressional oversight of justice, department nominees by using FBI resources to investigate and intimidate members of Congress. The chamber was now completely silent except for the soft whir of C-SPAN cameras capturing every word for posterity. In offices across Washington, phones were ringing as journalists, lawyers, and political operatives tried to process the magnitude of what they were hearing. "I'm placing all of this evidence into the congressional record tonight," Crockett announced. "Tomorrow morning, I will be referring this matter to the House Ethics Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, and the Department of Justice Inspector General. And I will be calling for the immediate resignation of FBI Director Kash Patel." She closed her folder and stood silently for a moment, letting the weight of her words settle over the chamber and the viewing audience. "Miss Bondi thought she could threaten me on national television because she believed she had the FBI director in her pocket," Crockett concluded. "What she didn't realize is that there are still patriots in federal law enforcement who believe the Constitution matters more than political loyalty. And sometimes when you try to destroy someone, you end up destroying yourself instead." With that, she gathered her materials and walked off the floor, leaving behind a political earthquake that would dominate headlines for months and end 2 careers that had seemed untouchable just hours before. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Within an hour, Walker Crockett bombshell was the #1 trending topic worldwide. News outlets scrambled to verify her claims, while legal experts debated the constitutional implications on every network. By midnight, 3 Republican senators had called for Patel's resignation. By dawn, Bondi's consulting firm had lost every client. The recordings Crockett had referenced were authenticated within 48 hours. The financial records were verified by multiple news organizations. The FBI agents who had conducted the investigation came forward to confirm Crockett's account, protected by whistleblower statutes that Patel couldn't override. Within a week, both Patel and Bondi were facing criminal investigations. Within a month, Patel had resigned in disgrace, and Bondi was under indictment for violating foreign lobbying laws. The coordinated attack that was supposed to silence Jasmine Crockett had instead exposed the most serious abuse of federal law enforcement power since Watergate. And it had all taken just 89 seconds. 89 seconds of calm, methodical presentation of facts that destroyed 2 careers and reminded Washington that in America, the Constitution still matters. And sometimes, freshman members of Congress are the ones brave enough to defend it. Years later, Crockett's speech would be studied in law schools as an example of how congressional oversight is supposed to work. But in the moment, it was simply a young woman from Texas who refused to be intimidated and who had the courage to stand up and tell the truth when it mattered most. The lesson was clear. Sometimes the most dangerous person in Washington is the one who isn't afraid to fight back.